What is going on, y'all? It's Hunter with LS Lures, and today we're going to be breaking down 3 of the most important things when it comes to skipping jigs under docks. We made this video already, and then I realized that I messed up the camera settings, and you guys would have been blinded in a horrific fashion. So this should be better. Hopefully you guys aren't blind by the end of this, and we're going to be talking about some stuff that you have to know. So, alright guys, part 1 of this is just going to be picking the right jig and trailer. This is a super critical part of this entire thing. Before we get into it, make sure you guys like and sub. I do this as my full-time job, not YouTube, but I run a jig company. We make awesome stuff here in the US. It's all hand-built by people who actually care and know what they're doing. This company wasn't started in a boardroom. It was started in a garage with 50 bucks in a class in college. And here we are selling people all over the country. So this has been a dream come true. We grow bigger and bigger every day. But make sure you like and sub. It helps me out a ton. I appreciate y'all more than you can know. But first and foremost, when it comes to skipping jigs under docks, make sure you're using the right jig and trailer. Like, the right jig and trailer paired up with the right stuff, which we're going to talk about here in just a couple minutes. The right jig and trailer can make this so much easier for you. It's going to make your life a lot easier, and you're not going to want to rip your hair out as much. So first and foremost, my absolute favorite jig to skip underneath the docks is our Midwest Flippin jig. It's a really good do-all. It's got a really like a solid brush guard there that's not too thick, so if I get way up under there and I get kind of a weird hook set on them, I still pin them really good. And we use really premium BKK. It's their 2-time strong hook. It's got a needle point on it, so A, there's no bending it out, and B, it's not this massive thing that you really have to crack them. Like, you can get kind of a goofy hook set, and the hook is so nice and sharp that even if you do, it's gonna penetrate and stick them. And so I've used this thing all over the country. We've won I don't know how much money on it locally and national, wherever, right? Like, it's an awesome jig. It works good. Everything's hand tied on this, which is huge. I can pull on this as hard as I want, and it's not going to slip off like a band. And one thing you guys will find out, that if you skip a ton of docks and you're using banded jigs, every now and then your trailer's going to slip and that skirt's going to blow back, and you're just going to be super mad at the world and your partner and some random lady on her dock because you just hit a pontoon and she's mad and it was loud and everybody within 3 miles heard it, but that's besides the point. We're not going to get into that. But either way, the Midwest Flippin jig is a really awesome option. My favorite size for doing this is 3/8. It's got enough weight to really get it back there. It's good shallow, it's good mid-depth. If I get into docks that are 10 feet plus, I'll use a 1/2 ounce. If I'm fishing really like piss shallow docks where they're like really shallow, I'll use a 1/4 ounce sometimes just to be a little finessier. But the Midwest Flippin jig is awesome. The biggest part of that is that flat front to it there. So when you skip it, I'm not going to teach you guys how to skip. That'll be a different video for a different day. Tonight we're just talking about the important things so you guys can kind of get on the right level and catch a lot more fish and be a lot happier and less angry with the world. But that flat head on the front there is super huge. If you guys have ever flipped a jig or skipped a jig that doesn't have some kind of flat surface on it, it can be a nightmare. It helps if you have a flat trailer, but it can still be a nightmare. This makes it a lot easier. When that head hits, its natural thing is to keel up. So like when I hit cover with it, when I hit anything like that, its natural thing is to come up. So that's why it doesn't get snagged. They're freaking awesome. But when it hits that water, it skips up, which brings that water underneath your trailer, which is flat, and it skips along super easy. So it's an awesome jig for that. It's my jack of all trades jig. It does an awesome job. Another thing I like to do with it is I'll chop on that skirt, just shorten it up a little bit, make it a lot more compact, give less drag on there when it's going through the water. The less stuff you have that can catch and drag and create pull, the further you're going to be able to skip it, the better off you're going to be. Second thing, and honestly probably the most important thing, is just having the right trailers. I'm not affiliated with any brands. I don't care what you use. I'm not here to argue what the best is. I use everything. But one of my favorite styles of trailer for skipping is just something that's flat and that has a kicking trailer on it. The kicking part, I think jigs that have kick to them draw fish in from further. So if I skip way up underneath the dock and I get, say, 10 or 15 feet back, however far, you know, it doesn't matter. Imagine it. If I get far enough back and there's a fish just a couple feet further that I could get back to, and that jig comes down and is kicking really hard, the odds of him coming over to check it out and eating that jig, I think, are a lot higher. And it also creates some pull on that jig, so it'll fall a little bit slower. Some people want that, some people don't. It depends on your fish. I just feel like it's a much better do-all, that when that jig's falling down, it's got some kind of action to make him come over and want to check it out, right? The other reason is I don't just hop jigs or drag them or do whatever around docks. I swim them all the time. You know, fish suspend up under them. Sometimes they're more active. whatever. Sometimes I'm just trying to cover water and figure out what docks have fish around them, and swimming a jig's a good way to get them to come out or get a couple bites really easy. So by having that trailer there, I can turn this into essentially a swim jig and catch a lot more fish on it there. But the biggest thing with that is find something that's straight. This is a Zoom Z Craw Jr. They work awesome. They rip a little bit easier, but again, they're super flat and they look really good. If you're into Googan baits, a Bandito bug works fine. A striking structure bug, whatever. Anything that's flat like this and has more surface area that's wider is going to skip better. It's going to, just like skipping a rock, it's going to do a much better job than something that's round or has a ton of appendages or is big and wide. Like, it's just not going to work as well. They're going to catch and you're going to be really upset. So probably don't do that. But biggest thing, take the front off of that, make it flat. I think some of that's still in my mouth. And just put it right up nice onto the back of your jig so that it sits perfectly flat there. So that way, when this jig, obviously I would trim this one, or I would trim this skirt up if I was out there. I'm not going to do it today. This is going back in the package so I can sell it. But water's going to hit that. It's going to skip up there. And then it's going to go immediately onto that trailer, which is flat. Flat enough. You get the point. Just make sure it's flat. Make sure it's not sitting on there all janky. It's going to skip real nice. It's going to make that sound that everybody gets all happy about. You can look at your buddy and be like, do you see that? It's an awesome combo. You can do whatever you want with this. It works up north. It works down south. Find them on our website. They're linked below. But the first step to being successful when skipping a jig is just having the right jig and trailer. Stop ripping your hair out. Throw something with a flat face. Our Midwest Flippin jig. That weed guard's perfect. The hook's great. And then find some kind of flat trailer that's going to make it as easy as possible for you there. The second part of this video is not about gear. This is more of a mentality thing. It's more of a style when you're fishing docks, but docks are one of the most patternable things you can fish for bass. There's a lot of different ways to catch fish. Docks are a super fun way. I know some guys hate them, but I think they're freaking awesome. I think they're a ton of fun to fish because you can really hone them in. Sometimes they're going to be on random docks. Sometimes they don't make any sense. Sometimes you have to fish all of them. Sometimes they get super honed in to one specific thing. I don't know if they send out some kind of fish tweet. I don't know what they do, but they're all on it, right? And if you can figure out by size class, because a lot of the times it's not random, the big ones will sit on a certain part of the dock, and if you figure out what that is and fish enough of them, you're gonna drop a freaking bag, you know? And sometimes they're all just little ones, but you do something a little bit different or fish a different zone, and all of a sudden your bites get way bigger. If you figure out what that is, run as many of them as you possibly can, because you can take an okay day where you caught one or two big ones and you're like, wow, they're both kind of doing the same thing. That's nuts. To a stupid good day where you go, okay, I caught a 4-pounder on the last dock in the back of a creek arm or wherever. And then I went to the next creek arm and I caught a 5-pounder on the last dock. That's crazy. If you ran every creek arm in your area and hit the last dock, you probably drop a freaking sack, you know? Or if they're on the front dock and short pocket and they're suspended and I swam it by and I caught a good one, then I did it for all of them. Like, if you figure out what they're doing, run as much of it as possible. Quit wasting your time. Check it as you want, but do not be the guy that has all of the puzzle pieces put together but just can't see quite what the right picture is. Like, if I'm getting bit, like, I fished a TBF regional tournament a couple years ago at Okoboji. I had a really great tournament, drop, I don't know, I had a good bag. I think I finished 4th or something like that and was just a couple pounds. I broke off the 2 big ones I needed to win it. Either one of them would have done it, but that's the way dock fishing goes sometimes. But I was just fishing wooden crossbeams on docks. I got bit in a couple other places, but they were kind of inconsistent. So instead of playing around and trying to catch every fish off of every dock, I just put the trolling motor on 8 and fished every section with wooden crossbars on the front in areas that had more bluegill than other areas that you could see on the top, and burned my trolling motor batteries both days. Should have got lithiums, but it doesn't matter. And just caught the crap out of them. I caught a ton of fish every day. It was a blast. But if you figure something out, you don't have to check every part of the dock until what you're doing stops working or they're not big enough, right? So like, if I'm catching all 2-pounders, but it's going to take 20 pounds to win, I probably have to figure out a different bite or figure out a different section of the dock that they're sitting on or a different bait that they want, right? But efficiency, I'm going to put it right here in a giant word. Efficiency is huge. Efficiency is everything when fishing docks, because at the end of the day, he who makes the most casts on the right section of dock is probably going to win. Because if in a day you fish 50 docks, 50 of the right docks, right? And you catch whatever, 10 fish or 20 fish or whatever. And the other guy fishes 100 docks. He's probably 100 of the right docks. He's probably going to double the amount of fish and catch more bigger fish. So the name of the game, fish fast, fish clean, figure out exactly what they want to do, and just stay on them. Another thing with the efficiency thing is figuring out exactly what they're doing. And one of my favorite ways to do that is when I start, I'm rotating so many different types of retrieves. I swim it real quick to begin, and then depending on the depth of the dock, I'll drag it, I'll fish shallow, I'll fish deeper. I fish every section of the dock in every different way as I'm moving along until I start getting bit, and I will cut down on my retrieves until I hone in exactly what they want, right? If I'm getting bit just swimming it and I can't get bit dragging it around, there's no point in me dragging it around. Maybe they're just eating it, swimming it, and I can just burn that for a while as long as I'm catching the right size of fish I want. If you're just fun fishing and they're eating it, swimming it, heck yeah. Just catch as many as you can swimming it. That's a blast. If I'm getting bit on walkways and I'm not really getting bit anywhere else, and just put that trolling motor on high and fish every walkway you can. If it's a certain part of the cove, just fish those, you know, like you don't have to waste time. You can really, and it's not as weird as it sounds sometimes to be like, yeah, it's the craziest thing. They're on just styrofoam docks, like docks with styrofoam that float them. Like, I don't know why that is. That seems really weird. We don't know either. Like, the world may never know why they sit under those better. But if they're there that one day, fish every single one of them you can. But that's the end of this rant. On to the third thing. All right, guys. And the third thing, and one of the most important things when it comes, well, besides the jig and the trailer, is your combo, your setup for catching those bass. This is everything, right? If you're using a rod that's the wrong power, the wrong action, the wrong length, it's going to make it substantially harder for you. It's not possible. It's just going to make it way harder. I'm 6'2". I run a 7'1" or 7'2", 7'3". Anything within there is my skipping and pitching rods for docks. I think they work perfect. It's the perfect length for me. To get under there, it's super easy. I can really roll it without worrying about hitting my rod on the water, and I can do all the different actions I want and really maneuver those rods, or maneuver those docks without any issues. If you're super tall and you can get away with a 7'6", great, do it. If you like a 7'6" and you don't have any problems skipping with it, do that. If you're a little bit shorter and you hate longer rods, fine, throw a 6'8", you know, it doesn't matter. Just find the length that is the most comfortable for you. This is a Phoenix Featherweight, and it's freaking awesome, or the Feather series. They're sweet. They're super light. There's no fatigue. I can go all day and skip and do everything I want to, and I don't have to worry about it. No fatigue, no tip heaviness. It just makes it super easy. The reel on this is a Corrado HD, the 70 size HG. They're freaking sweet. They're really small. That 70 size is easy for me to palm. Again, it lets me do everything I want, and the gear ratio is a 7:4. I like a quicker reel. I typically don't fish jigs on anything slower than a 7. A 7:4 is perfect for this. You can go up to an 8 if you want. I don't typically like an 8 because if I swim it an 8, I just have to think about slowing down. A 7's perfect where I can kind of do whatever I want easily. So no issues there. But anything that's comfortable for you in that higher gear ratio, lock your freaking drag down, because this is hand-to-hand combat. If you get one underneath it there, that's huge. I want to do everything I can to get his head turned and get him coming out before he has any chance to go behind a dock piling, go behind a piece of metal, just ruin my day. So lock that drag down, throw heavy enough line so that he's not going to do that, and give yourself every opportunity to freaking smoke him. And the third part of this, and what I just kind of touched on there, your line is super important. I don't like throwing braid. I know a lot of guys like throwing braid. Braid cuts super easy against metal, where fluorocarbon mono do not. I don't like throwing mono. It has just a little bit more stretch. I'm not here to argue with anybody. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying this is what I found. 20-pound fluorocarbon plus is essential if you're around an area that has more sharp edges or zebra mussels or stuff like that. Throw 25. You know, upsize that. Do whatever you want. If you're fishing super... Oh my God. Jeez. Okay. If your fish are super pressured and beat up, you can go down to 17 or 15. I wouldn't go 15 unless you're feeling dangerous or you absolutely have to get bites. Tough thing about that is you're going to lose sometimes, and it just is what it is, because if you can't get bit on heavier line, or they are really beat up, that's just the game you play. I would rather get the bite and take the chance than be stubborn and not get the bite at all. So you just have to play that game. But otherwise, most of the time, it's just 20-pound fluorocarbon, 25. You can get away with 17 too. The heavier line too, oh my gosh, I'm having some problems. The heavier line too also makes it easier to skip. I think it's just a lot better in general, that thicker diameter, and you're going to have a really good time. But like I said, this is hand-to-hand combat. Docks are sharp, edges are sharp, all the stuff that's down there is sharp, so run heavy line, crack the ever-living shit out of them, and do whatever you can to pull them out of there before they get you wrapped up. And, I mean, that is what it is. But really pick those docks apart, guys. This is all of the beginning knowledge I have to drop today. We're probably going to do some videos here soon on the water, really break things down, kind of go how I break that down. That's all coming. But for today, we're just doing super easy essentials. Make sure you like and subscribe. I appreciate you guys all a ton. Check out the website. Like I said, I quit my job to do this full time. Every little bit helps. It's been insane this year. Like, we've already blown last year out of the water, and I can't even begin to explain how good things are going. I appreciate all of you, though. This is Hunter. We'll see you next week.